Hi, it's Gita, and this is Swamp Watch. And believe me, this week was a doozy. What's up is down, what's down is up this week in American politics. So I can't help but comment on the very strange scenes that have been playing out in the White House. President Trump's warm embrace of Zoran Mamdani, I think, took everybody by surprise, especially as it happened virtually at the same time as he's gone on the attack against MAGA loyalist Marjorie Taylor Greene. So what's going on there? Who knows? So I generally only report on what happened in government, executive actions, Supreme Court orders, and laws Congress passed. But believe me, I am here with bated breath waiting to see how this story plays out along with the rest of you. But let's move on and go ahead and get into the top presidential news from this week. First of all, the Russia-Ukraine peace plan, which has been causing a bit of whiplash all year long as President Trump seems to gravitate back and forth from siding with Russia to siding with Ukraine. And then over the course of the weekend, we've had a little bit more whiplash. So President Trump proposed a 28-point peace plan, and that is being debated in Geneva this very weekend. But the plan has drawn a lot of criticism and also created some confusion because it seems to very significantly favor Russia, calling for Ukraine to give up territory that Russia had invaded, also calling on Ukraine to forswear NATO membership. And on top of all that, Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State, just this weekend essentially admitted that the 28 points were actually put forward by Moscow and then, reiterated by the White House. But then he reversed course on that later in the weekend, saying that the U.S. was the author of the peace plan. Needless to say, the peace plan did not get a very warm welcome in Europe, with European allies proposing a completely different alternative peace plan and Ukraine scrambling to get Washington to modify its proposal. This seems to have provoked President Trump, who went on the news just today, Sunday, to publicly accuse Ukraine of showing zero gratitude for U.S. efforts to help end the war, at the same time as diplomats in Geneva are trying to show a united front for the U.S. So it's unclear what the next step will be in this saga. President Trump has given the deadline of Thanksgiving for Ukraine and Russia to accept the peace plan, although it seems unlikely that that's going to occur, at least not as it's currently written. Also this week, President Trump hosted Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman for a state dinner and really rolled out the red carpet, even elevating Saudi Arabia to what he called major non-NATO ally status. This was a real surprise to me personally. Since the killing of